Oh, Divine.
A 15-year-old just did the unthinkable, ran faster than Usain Bolt and Noah Lyles did at the same age. Divine Iheme is rewriting sprint history before he's even old enough to drive. His 100-meter and 60-meter times are leaving experts stunned and fans in disbelief. This isn't just a rising star. This could be the beginning of a once-in-a-generation phenomenon. Back in August, just weeks after finishing year 9, Divine ran a jaw-dropping 10.30 seconds in the 100 meters. At 14 years old, he was already rewriting the record books. That time didn't just beat Bolt's age 14 record, 10.57 seconds, and Noah Lyles' best at that age, it shattered them. It also broke the previous age group world record of 10.51 seconds held by Jamaica's Sachin Dennis. To put things into perspective, that time would have placed him third in the British senior men's 100-meter championship. It also would have qualified him for the Olympic final in 1996. Divine isn't just running fast for his age, he's running world-class times, period. Divine added to his growing list of achievements by smashing the indoor 60-meter world record for a 15-year-old. He clocked a lightning-fast 6.71 seconds at the BFTTA Indoor Series in London, breaking a 23-year-old record set by Jamie Samuels in 2002. Even more impressive, he broke it twice, running 6.72 and then 6.71 in the same competition. He now ranks 4th on the UK U18 all-time list for the 60 meters, just 0.02 seconds behind Mark Lewis Francis's 1999 record of 6.69. This kind of performance at such a young age is almost unheard of. So where does this speed come from? It turns out Divine was born into it. His mother, Nkiruka, was an international sprinter for Nigeria. She represented her country at the 2002 Commonwealth Games before settling in the UK. His father, Innocent, was also a national-level sprinter who competed in the 100 meters and long jump. Divine's speed is no accident, it runs in the family. But it's not just genetics. Divine is coached by his mom, who now runs the PWD Athletics Academy. She's known for her military-style discipline, having served nearly a decade in the British Army. And she applies that same focus and structure to training Divine. They pray together before training, practice with intention, and focus on one clear goal: improvement. She's tough, really tough, very specific, Divine says of his mom. Their training is focused on technique, explosiveness, and discipline, not heavy weightlifting. Divine has never lifted serious weights. Instead, they use bodyweight exercises, bounding drills, and technique sessions. It's all about learning how to run efficiently and powerfully without risking injury at such a young age. At just 7 years old, Divine was already training in parks, doing hill sprints and hurdle drills. His 2 older brothers, Praise and Wisdom, were also involved in sports, and the family often trained together. In school sports days, Divine was already dominating. "I'd always win the 75-meter dash and the 200-meter by a big margin," he recalls. He also competed in long jump, foam javelin, and 600-meter races. But he quickly realized that sprinting was his true passion. "I hated the 600-meter, I remember crying," he says. By age 13, Divine was already running under 11 seconds. His time of 10.86 that year made people sit up and take notice. But he didn't let it go to his head. He just kept training and pushing. His breakout came at Lee Valley in August when he shocked the world with his 10.30 second 100 meter. "I remember on the day the timer was delayed," he says. "I was crouched, waiting. I saw 10.3 and I started screaming and shouting and running around. I was really surprised." His mom was in Nigeria at the time but watched the footage. "We were jumping up and down," she laughed. The moment was electric. Even the commentator couldn't contain his excitement. What's even more inspiring is Divine's humility. He doesn't brag. He trains hard, stays grounded, and respects his opponents. "They are all very happy for me. They are also using me as a target," he says about his competitors. Divine also keeps a strong connection to faith. He goes to church twice a week and surrounds himself with a positive, supportive team. One of his training partners, Ruby Rogers, says Divine's humility, focus, and faith inspire the whole group. Despite his growing fame, Divine still finds time for school. His favorite subjects are PE and business studies. He enjoys volleyball, badminton, and learning about sports psychology. His schoolmates often joke, "I can't believe I'm friends with the world record holder. And he has big dreams. "I'd just love to compete in the Olympics for Great Britain," he says. "Run the 100-meter flat, the 200-meter flat, and the relays." His training sessions remain focused on long-term success. The emphasis is not on short-term gains or pushing his body too hard. Instead, his coaches focus on technique, mental toughness, and smart training. The message is clear. Divine isn't racing for fame, he's racing to be the best. His nickname? Lightning. And it's well-earned. Whether it's his explosive start, his powerful drive phase, or his calm demeanor at the line, Divine moves like someone born to sprint. In interviews, Divine often mentions Usain Bolt as a major influence. He remembers watching Bolt's 200-meter world record, 19.19, as a kid and feeling inspired. Divine is aware of rising stars like Gout, the Australian phenom who recently ran 10.17 and 20.04 in the 100 meters and 200 meters respectively. But Divine doesn't feel pressure to compete with anyone else. "He's not in competition with anybody," his mom says. "He is just enjoying his training. If something comes, wow. If not, okay." He's already been invited to major youth competitions like the Keeley Classic in Birmingham, and experts believe it's only a matter of time before he breaks the 10-second barrier. In fact, some believe he could do it before he's even 17. The track and field world has seen many teenage talents, but few with Divine's combination of speed, discipline, and maturity. He's not just fast, he's focused. And he's not just winning, he's inspiring. At the PWD Academy in Oxford, Divine trains with athletes who support each other like family. His coaches correct him constantly, pushing him to perfect his form, his start, his finish, and every day he gets a little better. The motto at the Academy? Power, will, drive. 3 words that perfectly describe what Divine brings to every race. As he continues to grow, both in age and in talent, the world will be watching. Can he become the next Bolt? Will he one day stand on the Olympic podium, gold medal in hand? No one can say for sure. But one thing is clear, Divine Iheme is just getting started. And if what we've seen so far is any sign, the sprinting world is in for something truly special. Noah Lyles and Kenny Bednarek, 2 sprinters, just turned a simple 200-meter race into the most heated rivalry in track and field. What started as a typical championship final in Eugene, Oregon, ended with shoving, shouting, and some serious bad blood that's got everyone talking. So what happened on Sunday, August 2nd? The U.S. Track and Field Championships were happening at Hayward Field, and the men's 200-meter final was about to crown America's fastest quarter-lap runner. In lane 6, you had Kenny Bednarek, the 26-year-old Olympic silver medalist who hadn't lost a single race all season. The guy was on fire, completely undefeated in 2025. Then in lane 7, Noah Lyles stepped up, the 3-time world champion and 2024 Olympic 100-meter gold medalist who's known for running his mouth as much as running fast. Now, these two weren't exactly best friends going into this race. There had been some personal stuff brewing between them, issues that apparently never got sorted out behind the scenes. Bednarek had already dominated the 100 meters earlier that week, winning on Friday. But here's the thing. While Bednarek had been grinding through 5 races that week, including all those 100-meter heats, Lyles was sitting pretty fresh. He only ran 1 heat of the 100 because he already had his spot locked up for the World Championships as the defending champ. When the gun went off, Bednarek shot out of those blocks like a rocket. Within just 50 yards, he had already caught up to Lyles despite starting behind him in the staggered lanes. Coming out of that turn, Bednarek was looking strong, holding a solid lead that made it seem like his undefeated streak was about to continue. But then Lyles did what Lyles does best. With about 60 meters left, he started his famous closing kick. That's when things got interesting. And by interesting, I mean when Lyles decided to get real disrespectful. As these two were flying down that home stretch, neck and neck, Lyles made a choice that would light the fuse on this whole mess. Instead of keeping his eyes on the finish line like any normal sprinter would do, he turned his head to the left and just stared at Bednarek. Not a quick glance. We're talking about a full-on, sustained stare for the final 5 meters of the race. Lyles crossed that line in 19.63 seconds, beating Bednarek by just 0.04 of a second. But even after winning, he kept staring. That's when Kenny Bednarek had enough. What happened next shocked everyone watching. As the two runners were slowing down after the finish, Bednarek walked up behind Lyles and gave him a 2-handed shove right in the back. Not a little push, a real shove that made Lyles stumble forward. Lyles spun around immediately, backpedaling with his arms spread wide, like he was asking, What the heck was that? Then he started bouncing up and down like a boxer ready to throw hands. For a few seconds there, it looked like these two Olympic teammates were about to have a full-blown fight right there on the track. Bednarek quickly realized what he'd done and stuck his hand out for a handshake, trying to cool things down. But Lyles wasn't having it at first. You could see the anger on his face as he hesitated before finally accepting the handshake. Even then, you could tell he was expecting some kind of apology that never came. But wait, it gets better. Their argument wasn't done, not even close. When NBC's Lewis Johnson came over to do the usual winners interview, both guys were still heated. Instead of celebrating his victory, Lyles found himself in the middle of a live TV confrontation. Bednarek wasn't backing down. With the microphone moving between them, he looked straight at Lyles and said, "I tell ya, if you've got a problem, I expect a call." That was his way of saying they should have handled their issues privately instead of bringing them onto the track. Lyles, probably realizing this wasn't the time or place, responded with, "You know what? You're right. You're right. Let's talk after this." But you could tell he was still fired up, and Bednarek just stood there with his hands on his hips, staring at his teammate during what should have been Lyles' victory moment. When reporters caught up with them after they left the track, that's when Bednarek really let loose. He made it crystal clear what he thought about Lyles' behavior during that race. "The summary is, don't do that to me," Bednarek said. "I don't do any of that stuff. It's not good character right there. That's pretty much it. At the end of the day, he won the race. I've got to give him props. He was the better man today." But Kenny wasn't done. He wanted everyone to understand that this wasn't about what Lyles said, it was about what he did. What he said didn't matter, it's just what he did. Unsportsmanlike stuff. And I don't deal with that. It's a respect factor. Now, Bednarek also brought up something that added even more fuel to this fire. He pointed out that Lyles was fresh while he had been grinding through race after race. He's fresh. "Last time we lined it up, I beat him. That's all I can say. Next time we line up, I'm going to win. That's all that matters." And that's where this gets really spicy. Bednarek was talking about their recent Olympic history. See, the last two times these guys faced off in the 200 meters at the Olympics, Bednarek came out on top. In Tokyo, Lyles was dealing with mental health struggles. In Paris, he was battling COVID-19 and ended up with bronze, while Bednarek took silver. So Kenny had every reason to feel confident about their head-to-head matchups. When reporters tried to get Lyles to explain his side of the story, he kept it short and simple. Every time someone asked about the incident, he gave the same response. On coach's orders, no comment. His coach clearly told him to keep his mouth shut, probably knowing that Lyles saying more would just make things worse. But here's what makes this whole situation even more interesting. Bednarek revealed that there's some personal stuff between them that goes way back. He said, "Just some personal stuff we've got to handle." He claimed that Lyles had his number and could have called to work things out, but instead chose to bring their beef onto the track in front of everyone. This wasn't just about one race or one stare down. There were deeper issues that had been building up, and Lyles decided to air their dirty laundry in the most public way possible. The thing is, track and field isn't really known for this kind of drama. It's usually a pretty respectful sport where athletes congratulate each other and keep things professional, but Lyles has always been different. He's the guy who talks trash, who tries to get in his opponent's heads, who makes bold predictions and backs them up with performances. Some people love him for it, saying the sport needs more personality and excitement. Others think he crosses the line and shows poor sportsmanship. This incident with Bednarek definitely falls into that second category for a lot of people. The aftermath of this whole mess has been huge for track and field. Finally, the sport has a real rivalry that people actually care about. For years, people tried to create drama between Lyles and other runners like Ariane Knighton or Letsile Tebogo, but those rivalries never really caught fire. The planned race between Lyles and NFL star Tyreek Hill got canceled, leaving fans disappointed. But this thing with Bednarek, this is real. These are two guys who genuinely don't like each other, who have legitimate reasons for their beef, and who are both fast enough to back up their trash talk.
I'm not happy about it. I haven't actually seen Nesta since that has actually happened, for me and him to really have a conversation to say, all right, what happened?
The fastest man in history has finally spoken. Usain Bolt has broken his silence on one of the most painful chapters of his career, the day he was forced to give back an Olympic gold medal. Not because of anything he did, but because of a teammate's mistake. His words shocked the sports world. And what he revealed says as much about character as it does about speed. Before everyone knew his name, Usain Saint. Leo Bolt grew up in a small town in Jamaica called Sherwood Content. He was tall and skinny, and he loved playing cricket and soccer more than running. His teachers and coaches saw that he was very fast, but at first Bolt didn't really take running seriously. As he got older, his body grew taller and stronger. At 6 feet 5 inches, his long legs helped him take huge strides that no one had seen before. By the time he was 15, he shocked the world when he won the 2002 World Junior Championships in Kingston. He became the youngest runner ever to win that gold medal. He was still learning and not perfect yet, but the world had started to notice his amazing talent. His breakthrough came in 2008 at the Beijing Olympics. He stunned the globe by smashing the 100-meter world record in the final with a time of 9.69 seconds, slowing down to celebrate before crossing the line. Days later, he stormed to a 200-meter world record of 19.30 seconds, breaking Michael Johnson's long-standing mark. And then came the relay gold, the race that would later cause so much controversy. That 4x100-meter relay in Beijing wasn't just another victory. It was domination. Bolt, Nesta Carter, Michael Frater, and Asafa Powell worked in perfect harmony. They didn't just win, they rewrote history with 37.10 seconds, a world record at the time. But almost 10 years later, Bolt was told he had to hand that medal back. Nesta Carter's retested sample came back positive for a banned substance. The ruling from the International Olympic Committee was final. The entire team would be disqualified. For Bolt, it wasn't just the medal. It was the end of his triple-triple, 3 Olympic Games, 3 golds each, a perfect 9-for-9 record. Instead, his official tally dropped to 8 gold medals. In 2025, Bolt finally broke his silence with honesty. "It was disappointing," he said. "Nesta came to me and apologized. But everybody makes mistakes. I've moved on." Those words showed why Bolt is admired far beyond the track. He didn't lash out. He didn't point fingers. He accepted the loss with grace, reminding fans that one setback couldn't erase years of dominance. He added, "I am disappointed based on losing a medal, but it won't take away from what I have done throughout my career." And what a career it was. Even without that 9th gold, Usain Bolt remains the greatest sprinter of all time. He won 8 Olympic gold medals across 3 games: Beijing 2008, London 2012, and Rio 2016, cementing himself as the face of sprinting for an entire generation. On the world stage, he added 11 World Championship golds and 13 medals in total, making him one of the most decorated track athletes in history. His records remain untouched: 9.58 seconds in the 100 meters and 19.19 seconds in the 200 meters, both set in 2009, still stand over a decade later, a testament to just how far ahead of his peers he truly was. But Bolt's greatness wasn't just in the numbers. His showmanship, the lightning bolt pose, the wide smile, and the playful attitude turned sprinting into more than a race. He made it an event that captured global attention. In London, 2012, he silenced any doubters by defending his 100-meter and 200-meter titles, proving Beijing was no fluke. 4 years later in Rio, at the age of 30, he did the unthinkable, becoming the first man to win the 100 meters at 3 straight Olympics. For Bolt, the relay medal wasn't just about numbers. It represented Jamaica's dominance, teamwork, and history. The 2008 race was a masterpiece, and taking it away erased part of that story. Fans remember watching that race, the baton exchanges that looked effortless, the roar of the crowd as Bolt anchored the finish. That memory will never fade, but the official record books now carry a mark that feels unfair. Yet, Bolt's response to it has made his story even stronger. Instead of letting bitterness define him, he turned the moment into a lesson about resilience. Since retiring in 2017, Bolt has shifted focus. He runs the Usain Bolt Foundation, which provides support for young athletes and education programs. He invests in businesses, including ventures in restaurants, music, and even esports. In 2025, he serves as an ambassador for Expo 2027 in Serbia, a role that shows how his influence now stretches beyond athletics. He's no longer just a sprinter, he's a global figure of inspiration. Despite retiring, Bolt remains the standard. Noah Lyles, the American sprinter chasing Bolt's legacy, recently said he wants to be the next Bolt. Letziel Tebogo, the young star from Botswana, openly calls Bolt his idol. Even Ariane Knighton, the teenage sensation from the US, studies Bolt's races for lessons. Bolt's impact wasn't just about times on a clock, it was about confidence, showmanship, and the ability to rise on the biggest stage. When the lights were brightest, Bolt always delivered. For nearly a decade, Bolt said little about losing the medal. That silence wasn't weakness. It showed maturity. He knew that arguing wouldn't change the outcome. Instead, he focused on his foundation, on business, on giving back. When he finally spoke, his words landed like thunder. He reminded the world that greatness isn't about never losing, it's about how you handle loss. The Olympics have seen many doping scandals. Marion Jones lost her medals after admitting to drug use. Ben Johnson was stripped of his 1988 gold within days of winning it.